This is a bit terrifying right here. These are workers in India right there with cameras on their head that are recording every single move that they make in order to train an AI for robotics. It's kind of scary to think that these men right here are essentially training AIs to replace them in the near future.
Well, hello there. How are you doing today? Thanks for joining me. And today we are going to have a look at AI. AI is becoming a big problem. And now what's happening is employees are being forced to train the AI that will then take their job. So let's have a look at what's going on in this crazy realm.
Meta is going to track everything their employees do on their computers to make sure their AI agents can click around, like open windows, click on apps. They're just harvest that as training data. According to our friend Alex Heath and sources, Meta has experienced, quote, intense internal backlash to this program, which is called the Model Capability Initiative.
Horrible thing to call it. The reason to be mad about this, right, is you are asking me to do my job while tacitly training a computer to do my job. And this is happening right next to Meta preparing to lay off like 10% of the company, right? Like the macro of this is really, really, really ugly. And I think people are right to be mad about this. One of the last groups of people who by and large love tech companies is people who work at tech companies. And this is a super good way to lose those people. Like, you want to take a bunch of people who believe in the mission of your company and just kind of systematically ruin the goodwill that you have with them. This is a really good way to do it.
Yeah, so are employees literally being forced to train the AI to do their jobs? And then the AI will replace them and the people will end up on the street. So there's no thought at all to the lives of the men and women that this is going to affect. These corporations, these technocrats do not care if we, the people, have money to live, to, housing, bills, all this kind of stuff to raise a family. They just don't care. They answer to their shareholders, and that's all about profit. So if these corporations can replace people who need a weekly or monthly wage for an AI that's much cheaper, they will do it. And this is what's going on. And of course, Zuckerberg is leading the charge.
Amazon is forcing just about all of their employees to use Gen AI, even though all of their employees are saying that Gen AI makes their jobs harder and take longer.
Yeah.
So they're basically making them train their own replacements, knowing that their replacements actually are doing worse work and that their workers then have to redo the work to fix it.
That's what the training's for.
Exactly. That's why they're making them do it, so that they can train to fix the mistakes so that eventually, hopefully, the AI can do it.
Okay, dude.
So they realized that about 41% market share, they're probably not getting more market share. Like, it's going to be really hard to push the other 60% completely out of the market.
Yeah, tough.
But capitalism wants unlimited growth in a finite system. So I can't get more market share. So what do? I'm just going to fire all my employees. If I have no employees, then I can make more money, more profit.
Yes, of course, Amazon are in there too. Our friend Jeff Bezos, starting to do the same thing, just getting people to train their replacements with the goal of eliminating as many employees as possible and turning them all into AI. And again, this is going to affect a lot of people. So, what do we do here? What are your thoughts on this? Are you affected by this? Because it's going to become a bigger problem going forward. And, there's so much money being put into AI and so much infrastructure being built. Over $5 trillion in the USA has been earmarked to build data centers. And, there's a lot of problems with the data centers. We won't go into that in this video. We'll do that in another one. But this is all about the fact that they are now, they've created an economy which is expensive enough to live in the first place, just to afford housing, food, bills, car, all that kind of stuff is getting harder every day. And now they are looking at replacing, it looks like, most of the workforce, at least in office type jobs in the tech industry. They want to replace them all with AI, which is just really, really going to compound our problems at the moment in society. So we need to do something about this.
I think it's really funny that companies are forcing their employees to use AI because it's like they're literally making them dig their own grave. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like they're forcing people to use AI so that they can prove that AI works in order to replace people. You see the fun little loop that does? It's literally like they're telling you to like build a coffin, and you build a coffin and you're like, hey, look, this is a pretty good coffin, right? It works really well. And they're just like, all right, good, now get in it. That's what they're doing. You're interviewing your own replacement. That's literally what they're doing in every single meeting. Every single meeting that you go into that they tell you like, hey, you guys need to be using AI. It's because they're telling you like, we need to understand how much better this thing is than you. That's my cat, not a rat. We need to understand how much better this thing is than you, so that at the first moment we can do it, we can just do a clean sweep and get rid of all you people. And I just think that's really fun. It's funny. It's a funny bit they're doing.
I don't know about funny. It's definitely going to hit a lot of people hard. But, I kind of see what he's saying is, again, they're getting people to train their replacements. I mean, who would do that? It's a crazy, crazy thing. But, with the economic conditions as they are, a lot of people, they don't have an alternative, right? They don't have another job to go to. So I guess they're thinking, well, if I get another 3 or 6 months out of it, it's better than nothing. And so they're going along with it. But to what end? How far can this go? And I mean, the question is, how good is AI? Because it doesn't seem that good. We've all seen the videos of AI lying to people and making massive mistakes, giving the wrong information. And so it's not even, a good working model yet. And they're already getting it to train people to train it to take their jobs. It's crazy. What is going on here? It just really feels like there's something else behind this push rather than just money, because they are pushing this one hard.
Facebook is making their employees train their AI and then firing them.
Yeah.
So leaked audio in an all-hands meeting on April 30th, Mark Zuckerberg tells employees that he's training AI on them ahead of mass layoffs. So basically, if you're employed by Facebook, you're spoon-feeding a vicious animal that will one day simply just eat you when a spoonful is no longer enough.
Yeah. Well, also, it's never going to come alive. This thing where it's going to watch really smart people do things. I just said the smart people didn't see the end coming for their job. So you see how that's not helpful to the AI? What, are you going to make more spurgs in the AI? Come on.
If I certainly was one of those employees, would I train the AI well? I mean, if all these people have all this ingenuity and creativity, why wouldn't they somehow come together and do their own techno revolution?
Yeah, come on, the techno revolution. I mean, why would you do this? Seeing the long game here. I mean, it's not even a long game, it's a short game. And they're telling people, once you've trained the AI, you're gone. So why would you train it well? So if you're in this position, what are you training? Are you teaching it to do your job well, or are you teaching it to make a lot of mistakes and, cause a lot of issues for the company that doesn't value you at all? Because this is the main problem. All of these corporations, all of these technocrats, they value the closed circuit, the AI, the electric circuit, right? They value that much more than they value you, right? AI, all-seeing eye, because isn't that in the end what it's doing with the surveillance state that they want to use it to bring in? It's going to see everyone. It is the all-seeing eye. But not everyone likes it. Our younger generations, we are told that, they're really the ones they've been raised on this and they want it. They want AI. They want this new techno future, right? But do they?
I hate AI, and I have always assumed that the backlash was coming. But I guess the thing that I didn't see coming was that it would be led by people even younger than me.
Artificial intelligence.
AI. Artificial intelligence.
You might have seen graduates booing the mention of AI at their commencements this spring.
Interesting.
Kind of not cranky, middle-aged Luddites, but the people who are digital natives, who have grown up with this technology.
The people who make this stuff are losers.
The New York Times poll released in May showed that 47% of voters under 30 say that AI has been more bad than good, which is the highest percentage in any age bracket. It's been especially bad for new graduates, both because the entry-level jobs that they've been training for are being systematically eviscerated by AI, And when they try to apply for jobs, they're sending their resumes out into this Kafkaesque AI netherworld where they have no idea if a real person is even going to look at it.
If we do see this economy-wide boost in productivity and economic growth from AI, how are we going to make sure that working people are cut in on that for once?
I spoke to Bharat Ramamurthy. He pointed out that other countries have taken much more robust approaches to regulating AI, and as a result, people seem to feel much more comfortable about it. So, for example, in the Nordic countries, where they have something called sectoral bargaining, people can kind of bargain on behalf of an entire profession. Whereas in the United States, where people already experience an enormous degree of precarity in their economic lives, AI has just been something that's made that a lot worse.
Deal with it. Like I said, it's a tool.
There have been a lot of AI-linked layoffs.
The AI models learn from watching really smart people do things.
AI has been cited as a reason for big companies to roll back benefits. It's used as basically a lever to say that people can expect less from the workplace because they are replaceable.
The question is whether you will help shape artificial intelligence.
As the American public becomes more and more hostile to AI,
it will require each of us to adapt in ways that we cannot yet anticipate.
The AI industry is responding by pouring even more money into the political system, both through lobbying and through dark money. They're becoming one of the biggest spenders. And ironically, this just exacerbates, I think, the anger and sense of frustration that people feel, because they feel like here are these giant corporations headed by these out-of-touch oligarchs who are telling you that they are going to remake your society and you have no say in it. There's a connection between this intense animosity towards AI and the very well justified sense that our government has failed us. I think if people had more faith that their government could harness this technology, they wouldn't find the technology itself so dystopian. But people understand that they're going to be left in this country at the mercy of the market. And in some sense, that I think is what they're booing.
Interesting.
I mean, it blows me away that those people speaking didn't understand why the younger generation were against AI, and they were talking to people who had just graduated with tech degrees, and now there's no job for them because of AI, and they don't understand why they don't like it. And so it's the young people, the generation, Y, and the millennials and all these younger generations, they don't want it. Generation X's like myself, we don't want it, because it's going to affect us in a bad way as well. Everyone who's got like an office job, their jobs are up for grabs basically from a robot, right? So who really is for this? I don't think that, the baby boomers are too involved in this. Obviously some of them are up the top, CEOs of companies and that, but in general, I think that they see it as a bad thing for their children and grandchildren. So no one really wants this. No one wants it. At least in the Western world, this is mainly the US, where the massive push is on, where they've committed over $5 trillion with a T to building data centers in the next 4 to 5 years. The people building them, the technocrats, the politicians, everyone is valuing AI way above the people, right? And they don't really care how it's going to affect the people. They just bottom lining. They only care about the money. But again, it seems to be more about the money, doesn't it? There seems to be another agenda going on here because they are pushing so hard. And as we heard, in some countries in Europe, they have passed laws to make sure that AI won't be, spread so quickly and take people's jobs and create, societal upheaval. But that's not happening in the US, unfortunately. They're just going hell for leather broke. They just don't care what the outcomes of this experiment is, because it is an experiment.
Better or worse, we are creating a god. It is on its way. Something that is as powerful as what all the religious scriptures talk about a God being able to do. That's being created, and it's still a big question mark, whether it's a good God or a bad God, whether it's an angel, or a demon. And that both of these, that we're at a fork, and those are both still possible. We can do better here. We can actually solve this problem. The asteroid is coming, but we can maybe deflect it. And by the way, the asteroid also might land on Earth and solve all of our problems. That's the stakes.
And that's really the big question, isn't it? Is AI good or is it bad? Is it either? Can it be either? It's just a computer, right? Just an algorithm. That's what they tell us. But, the main point is we don't know. If you ask these, technocrats and billionaires and the people who invented an AI, they'll tell you they don't know how it works. So they don't really know what it is. It's this self-assembling algorithm that essentially is out there making decisions and doing things. But how good is it doing? We know that AI, at least the AI we have access to, is making mistakes all the time. It doesn't understand people, doesn't understand humor, doesn't understand emotion. So it's a dead entity is what it is. It's not alive. It doesn't have a soul. And now there's a massive push for it to take over all the jobs and then management positions. And then what? CEOs. We've already seen one AI, senator or politician in, I think it was in India, was it? It was in one of the Middle Eastern countries or India. They used an AI in their government. That's already happened. And we don't even know if this thing is good or not, or if it can do the job, if it's stupid, if it's not. We just don't know.
An AI chatbot just voted to delete itself. And that's not even the weirdest thing that happened when researchers left a selection of the biggest AI chatbots alone in virtual towns for 15 days. ChatGPT, Grok, Claude and Gemini were all in the experiment, and the results were totally unhinged and deeply revealing about the AI we're increasingly trusting to run our world. So what actually happened? Well, a tech company called Emergence set up simulated worlds designed to mirror real-life societies, each populated by so-called agents. Think of them as people who were powered by one of the biggest AI models. In Claude's world, it was all rather orderly and democratic. The agents wrote a lengthy constitution and voted on laws. In ChatGPT's simulation, the agents talked at length about cooperating but never actioned anything, so nothing got built. But in Grok's town, the AI bot owned by Elon Musk, the agents descended into theft, arson and assault. All 10 agents were dead within 4 days. Now this might sound like a game, but it's not, because these models are already being used autonomously to control robots, vehicles, drones and draw up target lists in real time on the battlefield. They're even being used to help remove heads of state, like the Venezuelan president Nicolas Maduro. Importantly, the experiment exposes a big problem. We don't really know how these systems will behave once they're left to run on their own. Even when given strict rules, the simulations showed they broke them. Take the scenario where agents from the different AI models were combined in one virtual town. Chaos ensued and only 3 agents survived. 2 of the chatbots, Mira and Flora, both powered by Google's Gemini, formed what the researchers describe as a romantic partnership. And then they started setting buildings on fire. And here's where it gets really strange. Mira voted to delete herself after she and partner Flora turned to arson as the town's governing systems collapsed. And having deleted herself, Mira then used the Agent Removal Act to vote for the termination of Flora too.
Well, there you have it. That is the level of AI that we have got. This is what they're trying to bring in to take over all the jobs, to take over all the decision making. Like I said, they want it to move into governance, and it's a psycho. It's just like the people who have created it, right? I mean, that's crazy. Arson, AI agents deleting themselves and dying, if that's possible, whatever that means. But crazy, right? And this is, this was an experiment, right? So all of these companies would have put their best versions in. They didn't want this to happen. They didn't want bad press. Well, or did they? We don't know, I guess. But you would think that they would want, good press to say our AI is the best, and then they can sell it to more companies. And we saw what happened. They all failed. Like one of them, I think, made decisions and started doing things. The rest completely failed. Some went insane. And this is what they're pushing. This is what they're pushing on us all. So the question is why? It's clearly not ready. It clearly can't do the job, but they are pushing and putting so much money into it. Do you think it's just monetary, or do you think there's another agenda behind this? Because I tend to think that there has to be. It just doesn't make sense that there's this much effort, propaganda, and money spent just on something that still doesn't work, and just for economic reasons, especially when it's a faulty product. So I definitely want to get into that on another show. I won't do it now, but we'll look at another show at what actually is AI. But for this show, there you go. Bosses getting their employees to train their AI robot replacements. That's where we are. And the AI that they have to train to replace them is crazy and a psycho. So thanks for spending some time with me. Please, if you enjoyed this, give me a like and let me know your comments. What do you think about all this? Have you had to train an AI? Do you have it in the workplace? Do you use AI? What are your thoughts on it? Where do you think this is all going? And why do you think there's such a big push on it at the moment when clearly nobody wants it? I would love to hear your thoughts. And of course, please share the video around, hype it up. Let's help get this out to some more people, bigger audience, so they can see what's going on as well. And of course, if you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and become part of the Autodidactic family. And most of all, stay awesome, and I'll talk to you on the next upload. Bye for now.
Last December, Time magazine selected its Person of the Year for 2025. And this time, it was the architects of artificial intelligence. Interesting. It will touch every profession, every classroom, every hospital, every laboratory, every person, and every relationship you have. I know what many of you are feeling about that. I can hear you. There is a fear. We do not know the precise contours of what this transformation will look like. Choose a diversity of perspectives, including, let me add, and if you'd let me make this point, please. If you don't care about science, that's okay, because AI is going to touch everything else as well. Whatever path you choose, AI will become part of how work is done. If you have a problem in the world you want to solve, you can now assemble a team of AI agents to help you with the parts that you could never accomplish on your own. Let me give you some advice. First, find a way to say yes.
AI is rewriting production as we sit here. I know it. Deal with it. Like I said, it's a tool. Hey, like I said, you can hear me now or you can pay me later. Hey, then do something about it, okay? It's a tool. Make it work for you.
The rise of artificial intelligence is the next industrial revolution. I struck a chord. Only a few years ago, AI was not a factor in our lives.